Hello and welcome to How to rapAmod. We've got the Smock XCube2 and a printed wrap. This one is for Demon Wraps, who does a lot of custom designs, so I thought I'd do one with his logo on it. You can put the pictures on to show you what they look like, and here's the video on how to fit them. Right, start off, take your fire bar section, put it down into the bottom corner, line up along the edge of the fire bar, smooth it down, make sure it's level, and then we can smooth it round. With the printed, it's not bubble free, so you do have to be careful of bubbles. Just work from the centre outwards. Just take your time doing it. Smooth it round, and there we go, there's that bit on. Right. Next bit, we'll do the battery compartment. Just make sure you keep your battery cover up the correct way, and make sure you keep the wrap the same way. So there it is. Then just simply tuck it down into the bottom corner. You want to leave the slightest of gaps, just so you can just see the cover on this side where you've got the two nipple things that stick out. Right. Smooth it down, working from the centre. Again, if you do get an air bubble and you notice it before you've gone round, you can peel it back and get rid of that air bubble. Smooth it round, firm pressure, and you should be not hanging over, but very close to the edge. Not hanging over, not hanging over. So you should be able to see just a very fine gap all the way around. Okay, that's that section done. Right, now for the main section. You take this off carefully, and you must be careful because of this bottom bit, very thin. You need to keep it raised up, so I'll put my thumb through like that to keep it raised up, and just simply tuck it down into the bottom corner, line it up with the edge, again just so you can just see the very fine bit of the mod, you know, the smallest amount. Smooth it down, make sure that you're not hanging over the bottom, and then smooth from the middle, making sure that you've got no air bubbles. When you get to here, firm pressure, working from the centre, pushing it down, and you should notice that you end up with a very fine gap just there. You can just see the mod. If it hangs over, you can trim it if you want, but if it hangs over, it means that you've left too much of a gap. It's just a very fine gap. If it does hang over, when you put the battery cover on, it'll catch on that. So it is cut back slightly. There has to be a gap. If it hangs over, it's going to catch and pucker up. So now this bit's a bit tricky, but you just need to position this so there's a very fine gap again. It's very fine. Make sure that it's not overhanging. into this compartment. You can pull it up to reposition slightly, but you don't want to stretch it. So when you're happy with that, we now on to this part, and the same here. Very fine gap. You know, this one can virtually be onto the edge. You know, just try to not have it hanging over. You do want that right on the edge, if at all possible, and just work it down. Don't pull it too much, because you'll stretch it, and then when you get to the bottom, this little piece here will have stretched, and if it does pucker up and you can't get it to go back, the only way that you'll be able to put it down is to cut it, and then put one section down and then the other, but then there's a risk that that bit will come off. If it does start to come off, cut it right the way back there and right the way back there. You will see your mod there, but there's nothing else you can do about it. As long as you're careful, you'll be fine. You want to make sure that this little bit isn't hanging over it again. Just position it, and you've got it where you want it. Put some firm pressure on it, and there we go. There's that bit. So put on the cover, and you'll see a very fine line around there. Looking good. Right, top section is pretty easy. Just look directly down, line up the buttons in the cutout, line up with the 510. If you need to reposition, just pull it back slightly and reposition it. Smooth it down. I've not done a little cutout here. I think it's for airflow. No one uses anything like that anymore, and if you do need it, just cut that out. If I cut it out now, them bits are going to be flappy. It's going to make it even harder to fit, and it's not worth it. If you need it, cut it out. I mean, there's still a gap there underneath, so I expect if I needed to, it could. But alright, next, turn it upside down. If you put it on the backing paper to turn it upside down, it won't scratch your buttons. I've already scratched mine a little bit from doing this, but there we go. The only problem is when you put that on, it's harder to get that off. Right. When you've got it off, put it back on. Right. Another easy one, just position these right up against the edge, central, or as central as you can. It is the bottom, so you don't really need to take too much care, unless you want to. There we go. It's a little bit off, but I'm not bothered about the bottom. This little bit here, I use a scalpel just to hold on to, but if you want to use your fingers, go for it. Not small and fiddly. I just find this easier. There we go. That's on. Give things a bit of pressure. And there we have it. Thank you.